Please be sure to subscribe to the Bill Houston Podcast on YouTube and donate generously to support my work.
We have PEMA.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Hi there. So my name is William Houston. I'm a little disappointed to see that DOH isn't here, that PADEP isn't here, and that the governor isn't here. We initially heard that the governor would be here.
Just real quick, sir, excuse me, but the governor actually launched the initiative. He's never attended one of them. It's usually just the cabinet officials. So that was a rumor that was started, but not on our end. So we apologize for the miscommunication.
Very good. Okay, so can you hold it a little higher? So we're coming up on the 10-year anniversary of the first water contamination incident that happened in Epidemic, Susquehanna County. And the problem still exists, and it never has been fixed. So my question was really directed to, it's partly directed at Mr. Flinn. I'm going to get to the question, but I just want to say that we have widespread and systemic water contamination from hydrofracking, drilling activity. And this is a public health crisis. You're talking about the opioid crisis. Let me give you the numbers for Epidemic. First of all, I think that the definition of a significant epidemic is 15 cases in 100,000. In Epidemic, we had 63 unique individuals out of a population of 1,500. That's 280 times larger than a significant epidemic.
The number you have dialed is not in service. Please check the number and try again.
So this is of epidemic proportions. We have a cover-up. Permits are continuing to be issued. There is a massive cover-up at every level of the state government and the local county governments, all the way up to the state. And I will tell you right now, let me give you a very specific case. This is for the governor. You can either answer it or take it back. It's Title 58, Section 3218 of the Oil and Gas Act says that any person who has a water supply determined to be impacted by oil and gas impacts, oil and gas drilling activity, is entitled to clean water deliveries. I am here to represent Mr. Raymond Kimball of Epidemic, Pennsylvania, who had an emergency since 2011, since Mr. Scott Perry from the DEP ordered that Cabot could stop delivering water. This is inexplicable because it's in violation of the law. So for the last 7 years, despite the fact that he's supposed to get water deliveries, for the past 7 years, Raymond Kimball has been driving, he bought a truck at his own expense, and he's been driving 8 miles up to Montrose to a hydrant that he paid for to get installed. And he's been trucking 500 gallons at a time, 3 times a month, back to his house. I've been staying at his house. He's very sick. I've been helping him. In January, the hydrant froze. We were unable to get water. I made 24 calls over a 3-week period to your office, sir, and I could not get a call back. So I want to know, number one, for the governor, what does it take to enforce Title 58, Section 3218 of the Oil and Gas Act for Mr. Raymond Kimball and every other person with impacted water who's been gagged? This is a public health crisis.
Sir.
This is a public health crisis, and the people have been gagged. And I want to answer from the governor and also from Mr. Flinn, what does it take to get a call back from your office? Thank you.
Sir, we will pass that along to the governor. Again, DEP and DOH are not here today. We will pass your concerns along.
I want to hear Mr. Flynn's answer.
Well, sir, I'll be happy to talk to you about it afterwards because I'm not sure who you called, and I'll follow back up with you, but I don't know who you spoke to.
You never heard of a call coming from Raymond Kimball between January and February of this year?
I'm sir, as I said, we'll talk afterwards, but I need to know we obviously multiple offices. I'm not sure who you spoke to.
If you didn't hear of a call,
Sir,
that's a big problem.
So we're gonna move on. How about other questions, folks? So we have a DC D1 right here.
Okay, I'm going to pause the video for a second, and I want you to watch very carefully. Richard Flynn's facial expressions. Pay attention to how many times he looks away and then looks back. They say that the eyes are the window to the soul, so watch his facial expressions and just try to figure out what's going on inside him right now. Okay, here it is.
My name is Ken Okrepke. I'm the regional manager for Ben Franklin Technology Partners of Northeastern Pennsylvania. The question.
Okay, so I spoke with Mr. Flinn after the meeting, and he told me basically that he does not have the authority to do an independent investigation of the facts of my allegation without cooperation from the county emergency management agency. But the people that have lived here throughout this whole incident over the last 10 years, Craig Stevens, Ray Kimball, Vera Scroggins, and others, have appealed to the local emergency management agency and director and staff, as well as county commissioners, lots of other people that work at the county level. And what they have said is that all of their complaints fall upon deaf ears. So I think Jimmy Dore calls this a reveal, when you can kind of look at on their face, and you can kind of see what is that look. He kept looking at me after that little exchange, and I think maybe he's a little bit worried about his job, and rightfully so. He should be worried about his job, because the head of an emergency, I was going before the head of Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency, PEMA, Emergency Management Director. See, I'm giving him a complaint about a massive systemic problem, and he's basically just blowing me off. So I'm just saying, my suggestion to Mr. Flinn is that you find a way to exercise jurisdiction, because 63 people that are impacted out of a population of 1,500, guess what? That counts as an epidemic. It's a public health emergency. And even the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection under Secretary of Oil and Gas, Scott Perry, admits that the problems endemic still exist. So, Richard Flinn, here's my advice to you, buddy, that find a way to exercise jurisdiction and get an independent investigator from your organization to DEMIC and investigate the claims being made of illegal activity and a public health crisis. This is your jurisdiction of your agency, sir. So I'm expecting a phone call. You promised that you were going to call by the end of this week. So looking for the phone call, Mr. Richard Flinn, the head of PEMA. Looking for the phone call, okay? So now next I just want to mention that we have this guy. So there he is, Tom Wolf, 9442, and but he's having a vision, okay? He's having a vision. These are the minor children of one of the impacted residents, and they're holding bottles of contaminated water. So my question for Mr. Tom Wolf is that. Why aren't you enforcing Title 58, Section 3218 of the 1984 Oil and Gas Act? And once again, it would be a really good idea, Tom, if you actually figure out how to have the DEP do their job. Just read the law. It's really simple. It's a really plain language law. Just go read the law and do your duty, do your job. That's all we're asking for, and that is have the DEP order Cabot to deliver water to any person with a positive determination letter from the PADEP whose water has not been restored to original background conditions, to start providing clean drinking water deliveries to these people as is required by law. So, Tom Wolf, we are looking for some action from you, buddy. Tom Wolf, looking for some progress. And in addition to restarting the water deliveries for these people, we also think it's a good idea that you compensate them for their expenses incurred for water provisioning during the time after the water deliveries ceased. The state-ordered water deliveries ceased. That was 11/30/2011 until now. That's only fair that the people receive fair compensation. I think most people would agree that that is only fair. And lastly, with cooperation from the Attorney General's office, we're looking for a multi-county grand jury convened with broad and independent subpoena powers to file public corruption and organized crime charges against those responsible for this decade-long environmental crime to have occurred. So, Josh Shapiro, please do not play politics while people are being poisoned. Josh Shapiro, please do not play politics while people are being poisoned. If these actions are not taken by May 5th, 2018, then we demand a criminal indictment against Tom Wolfe. And if you do not take these actions, then we promise, at a minimum, there will be repercussions when you seek re-election. So, Josh Shapiro, here's just a little reminder of this YouTube video. It's still online, Fracking Accountability, April 5th, 2016, where you said, "I will hold the oil and gas companies criminally liable for poisoning our air and our drinking water." That's really powerful language, and it's good. And that's why you got elected, because of strong language like this. But, we need to see some action, Josh Shapiro. And so we know there's a couple of pending private criminal complaints and maybe even an independent investigation by the Attorney General's office. That's you. And we're looking for some progress on that, Josh Shapiro. So here's a legal notice. A claim has been made by Mr. Raymond Kimball of Epidemic, PA, for violations of his rights under Title 58, Section 3218 of the 1984 Oil and Gas Act, as amended by Act 13 of 2012. So we're looking for immediate restoration of water deliveries for all residents in the Epidemic-affected area with a water supply which has been determined to be impacted by oil and gas drilling activity, where the water supply has not been restored to the pre-drill conditions in both quantity and quality as is required by law. Also, fair compensation, because if we read the code, if we read the PA code at the related section, which is section 78.51, protection of water supplies, we will find that the definition of what it means for a replacement water supply, and it must be of adequate quality and of adequate quantity, and that it not result in increased cost to operate and maintain. Josh Shapiro, as an attorney, you should understand that it's your job to defend the government of the Commonwealth. What's your excuse for why these people are not receiving clean water deliveries under the law? So I would suggest that there's not a good answer for that. So I would say that you should really find a way how to persuade Governor Wolfe to start delivering water to these people and to compensate them for their expenses that they paid for this water delivery provisioning, for their own provisioning of their own water all these years from November 30th of 2011 until today. So, and then what we want is, with cooperation of the Attorney General's office, a multi-county grand jury convened with broad and independent subpoena powers to file public corruption and organized crime charges against those responsible for this decade-long environmental crime to have occurred. Josh Shapiro. Josh Shapiro. Josh Shapiro. Do not play politics while people are being poisoned. If these first items are not met by May 5th, and that is restoration of water deliveries, and number 2, fair compensation immediately made to these victims, then I demand that there is a criminal indictment against the governor, Governor Tom Wolfe. Don't play party politics here while people are dying, while people, Ron Carter on Carter Road from Epidemic just died. Yes, people are dying and people are very sick. Raymond Kimball. Many people here in this area have cancer. This is a new cancer cluster. So here's the deal. Josh Shapiro, Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, I hope that you find a way how to convince the governor to take these actions. And if he does not take these actions, then he should be arrested and there should be a criminal indictment against him. And if you do not take these actions, Josh Shapiro, then there are going to be repercussions against you because you have to seek re-election. So there's going to be minimum as repercussions when you go to seek re-election. So I hope this message gets through, and I hope that other people that care about this call Governor Wolf's office and maybe even call the Attorney General's office and demands some action, and maybe even call PEMA, demand some action from these people. Thank you very much. This is Bill Houston, over and out.
In the last 8 years, the fracking industry has spent over $40 million on lobbying in Pennsylvania. So it's no surprise that even though they've had over 4,000 violations, all they've ever gotten is just a slap on the wrist. It's time for that to change. I'm Josh Shapiro, and I'll hold the oil and gas companies criminally liable for poisoning our air and our drinking water. I'll be an attorney general who always works for you.
Democrat Josh Shapiro. He'll stand up for us.
Hi, friends. Thanks for tuning in to the Bill Houston podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you appreciate my work and if you enjoy my work, I would appreciate if you could make a donation in any amount, $10, $20, even $100 if you can. No amount is too large or small. You can get there by going to tinyurl.com/donate to Bill Houston. That's tinyurl.com/donate to Bill Houston, HUSTON. And by the way, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And when you do, don't forget to click that little bell, and that way you'll be sure to get a notification whenever I post a new video. Thanks a lot. See you next time.